Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Billy. Today I would like to share with you two dresses for the holiday season. These dresses are not holiday party dresses. Instead, they are actually dresses are still suitable for work or to say somebody's house for dinner, but reflecting sort of the seasons that I will be wearing the dresses in. And so the idea is quite similar to the Halloween themed dresses that I made last year that I talked about in my video 42, in the sense that those Halloween themed dresses were not Halloween costumes, but dresses suitable for work but made with fabrics reflecting the particular holiday itself. So the first dress that I will share with you today is this one here, made from 2 yards of cotton that I purchased from Walmart.com about a month and a half ago. And so here's a quick look of the print itself. As you can see, it's a navy blue background. Well, actually, it's in between navy blue and royal blue, and with very small polka dots. One interesting aspect about this dress is that the fabric is only available by the bolt on Walmart.com, so it was not available by the yard. And because I quite like this fabric, and so I decided to buy the whole bolt. The one bolt has 8 yards of this fabric, and since I figured this print is something that I would use for other dresses, and polka dot is right up my alley, so I feel comfortable buying 8 yards of this fabric. However, one thing that makes me somewhat uncomfortable about this fabric is just how cheap it is. I mean, I got 8 yards of this fabric, and with free shipping, the total was about $23. And so each yard is not even $3, with shipping. So I cannot help thinking that something is wrong with this pricing in the supply chain, in the sense that the farmers that grew the cotton and obviously the mill that weave this, I cannot help, maybe corners have been cut, but that is a subject for another day, not for today. But that is definitely a subject that I am focusing on and will be much more conscious of in my future fabric purchase. So anyway, on a lighter note, this is my Hanukkah dress. So what happened was a very good friend got married just right before COVID started, almost 2 years ago. And so I have had not had a chance to get together with him or his new wife since. And so they moved out to the Bronx, and so they were hosting a housewarming party and also a Hanukkah party at the beginning of this year, December. And so originally I was planning on going, and so I wanted to make a quote-unquote Hanukkah themed dress to go to their house. But later on, because of Omicron and also just the condition for COVID has really deteriorated, I decided not to attend because it would be an indoor event, and I'm not sure how comfortable I feel commingling with a whole bunch of people. So I decided not to attend, unfortunately. But anyway, I already got this fabric for this dress, so I decided I would just go ahead and make this dress anyway. So about my friend, in addition to being also a tax lawyer in New York City, he is also the nicest guy and also an excellent cook. And so I have been, luckily, a relatively frequent guest at his Shabbos dinners over the years. And a lot of times he would invite single people to his Shabbos dinners. And I suspect a lot of times he may want to, quote unquote, set up people, but without telling them. And the idea is so that they would, sort of be seated next to each other and just chat in a very relaxed social setting without the pressure of, being on a date kind of thing. So that was really nice of him. And also over the years, I have noticed that he also invited women that he would like to get to know more personally, but without telling the woman that. And so in this case, he hosted this dinner, and then he was able to spend time with his sort of intended date. And so in that case, you get to kind of see each other and spend time without the pressure of being on a date, and also without the awkwardness if this date did not go so great, because then nobody knew except for him. So my friend is a real pro in this area. So I am really glad that he finally found the right woman to get married to, and I'm sure they will live happily ever after because they are very well suited for each other. About the choice of fabric for my Hanukkah dress, originally I thought that it might be fun to play on the concept of the Hanukkah bush, and so I actually found a suitable fabric on fabric.com. So this was the quote-unquote Hanukkah bush fabric. However, I wasn't sure if this would be well received by my host and hostess for that party, and also I wasn't particularly crazy about that print anyway, so I decided instead of that, I would just use this one instead, because I think this navy blue with white polka dot print is much more versatile, because I can also wear this at other times of the year, and versus the Hanukkah bush, is clearly some sort of a Hanukkah bush-ish theme, and so the time of the year that I can wear that dress obviously would naturally be quite limited. So I made this Hanukkah dress using the self-drafted shift dress pattern that I first talked about in my video 61, and it's the same dress pattern basically for all the dresses that I've been making since my video 64. And I also briefly talked about how I modify the patterns to for a better fit in my video 66. So in this case, it's a pointed collar here. Let me come closer so you can see. It's like this, and it's a fairly narrow one than the other ones that I have made. More notably, the orange dress with the contrasting white collar that I talked about in my video 67. Anyway, and so here is the back of the collar itself. So originally, I also wanted to make this dress exactly the same way as that orange dress in video 67. And the problem I have with that dress pattern, the bodice pattern, was it somehow felt a bit tight here. And originally, I just assumed that it was tight because I gained a little weight. However, I later on realized that that was not the case. It was because the neckline is too high. And the original bodice that I drafted from was actually a V-neck. And so that neckline for that bodice was just lower. And I all of a sudden realized that I encountered the same issue last year that I talked about in my video 39. Meaning that the same bodice, if the neckline is lower, then that means just more open space here. In a way, you actually have to maintain the same level of sort of fittedness or the same level of fit. You actually will bring in the bodice ever so slightly a bit closer, but when the intended neckline is higher, you actually want to widen this part here. So for me personally, it would be, just from the shoulder to maybe about the apex area. But I didn't do that, when I was cutting out this dress because I hadn't realized that was the reason for the tightness. So after I made this up, and originally I made it with a pointy collar where there will be, the points will meet in the middle. And so here's a quick picture of how I basted the collars down so then they would not shift around during the construction process. Both when I was basting the collars to the dress itself and also when I add the lining, and so they would not shift around, so they would stay perfectly the points would perfectly meet exactly at the seam allowance. And so that's how I based the colors down to prevent shifting during the construction process. However, after I made it, it's just not comfortable. And then I realized that it was no longer because I gained weight, it was because of the high neckline. And so the short of reconstructing the whole thing, an easy fix is simply to lower the neckline. So in this case, I lower the neckline. Basically, I just increase the seam allowance all around the neckline by about 5/8 of an inch or 1.5 centimeters. And so that, that gave me more room. So now this bodice fits a lot better, even though it's not 100%, but it works out a lot better. And as a result, the collar here no longer sort of a butt against each other. There is a gap here now. But actually, strangely, I do not mind. So I did not feel like I needed to do anything more to camouflage or hide this gap. And technically I could have lowered it even more. So then, to open up more space up here. However, because the collar would just become too small, and if I keep doing that, and so I decided this was a good compromise in the sense that I still have a decent amount of color left, and it's still not uncomfortable, and the wrinkling is not too obvious. So I figured this is a happy medium to resolve the issue of my bodice. After I made up this dress, even with the sort of a lower neckline, the dress just looks kind of boring and a bit frumpy. Because originally this dress was at the knee length. And so as I have done before successfully, I also decided to chop off 2¼ inches from the length of the skirt portion, and so this is what it looks like. So now it falls also above the knee, so exactly the same length as the pink cotton satin dress that I talked about in my last video 68, and also the blue dress with a contrasting color that I also talked about in my last video 68. And actually, come to think of it, the blue dress that I talked about in my video 68 could have been my Hanukkah dress, but I had this one in mind and I already cut it out. So I decided to save this dress for today's video. And also because of the lower neckline now, I am able to pair this dress with a 16-inch strand of pearls. And so now I think this pearl really kind of brightens up the face area a bit. So I'm very happy about this combination. So here is a quick video of this dress. And as always, I paired this dress with a pair of 3.5-inch heels in black. And also because this dress is dark color, I also tried pairing it with black pantyhose, and so you can see the two looks side by side. And overall, I am really happy how it worked out, and in a way I really do quite like this lower neckline, so I think actually I would just shift to this lower neckline for future projects when I use the same dress pattern. The second dress that I will share with you today is this one here, made from 2 yards of cotton that I purchased from Joanne.com. And so here is a close-up look of the print. As you can see, it is some sort of peppermint candy print, and so I thought it was perfect for Christmas. And so it's what it looks like, with the V-neck collars and 3/4 inch sleeves. So this Christmas dress is exactly the same as the white linen dress that I talked about in my video 65, and also the Carolina Herrera print dress that I talked about in my video 67. So there is no groundbreaking development about this dress. And it's so interesting, really, this dress fits so much more loosely than the other dress, even though really it's the same bodice. So really, I am convinced that the neckline really does make a difference in how a garment fits. The idea behind this sort of Christmassy dress is that I am a member of several professional organizations, and usually the holiday parties for these professional organizations are held in the first week of December, so well in advance of the actual Christmas time. And the reason is because most lawyers, or a lot of lawyers, will be very busy towards the end of the year, for the year-end deals. And so if you hold your holiday networking party towards the end of the year, nobody will show up to your party. So that's why all these professional organizations hold them in the, definitely the first third, the first 10 days of December. So originally, I was also thinking about going, but then I decided, I didn't really feel like going out, commingling with people in this COVID time still, so I just scratched that. But then I decided I wanted to make a holiday-themed dress anyway. So this dress is a result of that, even though I ended up deciding against going to any of the networking holiday parties. And even though this dress did not look frumpy at all after I made it up originally at knee length, but I decided, it's the holiday time and I should live it up a bit. So I decided to chop off the skirt also by about 2 inches. And so this is the result of that. I think it's quite cute. It's really nice. So this is what it looks like. And also, let me stand back so you can get a better view. Ooh, let me move this. So, it looks like this. And since, it's quite a holiday-themed print, and so I'm also pairing this dress with a pair of dangle earrings, just, for a change. So overall, I am really happy how this dress turned out. So here is a quick video of this peppermint candy dress, and I paired this dress with a pair of 3.5 inch heels in red suede from Marc Jacobs. And I really love this ensemble. It's so cheery, and so I really am happy how it turned out, even though unfortunately I would not be wearing it this year to any holiday party. But still, I could always have a party at home. So all is not lost. Since the holiday season is also traditionally the season for giving, so I thought that I would share with you some very basic due diligence information when you give to a charity this year. So in the US, every single public charity or public supported charity must register with the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service. And so you can go on the IRS website to make sure that this charity is actually a recognized charity by the IRS, and also that its exempt status has not been revoked. So in the description box below, you will find a link to the IRS's website for that. However, I find that website not particularly easy to use, to navigate, because sometimes I would type in a name and it does not pop up in the search result. So that may skew a charity's true status. It may be perfectly legit, but you just don't see it in the database when you search it this way. So another very simple option is also to just simply search, in your search engine, the name of the charity and plus Form 990. So Form 990 is a tax return that every single public supported charity or 501c3 organization must file with the IRS, with very limited exceptions. And so this is basically that charity's tax return. So by looking at the charity's return, you will be able to see how that charity spends its money and whether how it spends that money is consistent with your understanding or your wish. So in this way, you could be sure that your donation is going to where you think it's going. And so, for example, to prepare for today's video, I recently looked up an animal rescue and welfare charity that I have supported for well over 10 years that is based in New York City. And it is a national organization. However, I was very dismayed when I looked up the 980 to see where the funding was going. So, for example, it had an income or revenue about $240 million. So this is a very large charity. However, out of that, about $40 million was spent on marketing. And so that is like 15% of the revenue. And out of that $39 million, only $19 million were spent directly on program-related advertising. The other $20 million were somewhat generic. And when they say program-related, that means the program that is directly related to its tax-exempt purpose. So for me, I was really shocked when I saw this because this is not where I want my money to go to. And I've been a very strong supporter of this charity for all this time, and every month I made an automatic credit card donation to this one. And so after seeing that, I was really dismayed. So I decided to discontinue my support because I do not want my money, so much of this money, to go to unrelated marketing. And also, you can also see the CEO or president of this charity and the salary information of the top 5 people, I think. And also, I was not happy that the CEO of this charity was making close to $1 million. Obviously, I have no problem with people in a for-profit corporation making the compensation because it was a private arrangement between the company and the employee itself, and obviously the company has to be answerable to its shareholders. However, in a charity, I find it's a little difficult to understand that a CEO, granted it's a New York-based organization, will be making that kind of money. And to me, that is also not consistent with being a public charity. So I decided to continue my support. And instead, I would use that money now for a different animal-based organization. And I also generally have found that a national or even an international charity tends to spend a lot of its budget on marketing and also other administrative related expenses instead of directly spending on its program, the purpose for which is established. And so, for example, another charity that I have supported is a local food bank. It's actually a Connecticut food bank, Connecticut being my home state. So I looked it up, and it spent about 95% of its revenue on its program, for food for people, especially now during COVID. A lot of people have no food security, i.e. they don't know where their next meal is coming from. And to me, I find that not acceptable in this day and age, especially in the US. So I feel strongly, and so I increase my support to this local food bank. And when I looked it up, it's wonderful. It spent most of the officers are volunteers, and obviously because it's a smaller organization, so it did not need full-time, full salary people to run it. But in a way, just from a donor point of view, this is where I would like my money to go to. I want the money to actually get to the people on the ground, people in need, or animals that would need help, or other causes. And so that's why I think definitely I do get more bang for my buck when I support a more local charity versus a national or international type of charity. But obviously, I do not mean to dissuade you from making donation to a larger charity. I would just like you to have the tool of looking up the IRS website and look up the 980, so then you can make a very informed decision about whether how the charity spends its money is consistent with your understanding. In addition to the IRS website, there are also several other websites out there that help you evaluate how a charity spends its money. And one example of that is charitynavigator.org. And I will also post this link in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed today's video. And so I wish you and your family a very happy and very safe holiday season 2021. So on that note, I hope you will stay safe, be well, and I hope I will see you soon. Bye-bye.